I have never considered myself a summer person, and although I still do not love the heat or the humidity that we have here in North Georgia whenever summer comes along, like midsummer as we're experiencing right now, I am finding that I'm much more of a summer person than what I thought. And you know, whenever I think back, it totally makes sense. There's a lot of things that I enjoy about it. I like being outside, I like longer days, I like ice cream and more family dinners and things like that. It just seems like people are more inclined to be together and to be doing fun things and going and making the most of life whenever it's summer, I think. You know, we do it all year round. And there's definitely things to look forward to in other seasons, but there's a slowness that comes with summer. And I don't know if it always has, or maybe it's just this particular season of life that I'm in, but I am totally here for it. For today's video, I wanted to take you all along for a little homemade date night that Nicholas and I had in our very own kitchen. I consider it a cottage kitchen. I feel like our house has become such a cozy cottage. Of course, it's not your typical cottage. It is a standard brick ranch in rural North Georgia, sits on an acre of property, and we are surrounded by Dollar General stores within a couple miles any way you go. But I am just continuously trying to make it more and more of a cottage feel. And that's what I think my heart would look like. Like if you were to open it up and see inside, I think it would just be full of meadowscapes and country coastlines, green rolling hills, maybe sheep on the side of that hill. I don't know. I have a lot of dreams. But anyways, I feel like we're bringing some of those things to life right where we are at. And that was exactly what this evening felt like. We actually managed to have a weekend kid-free, which is super rare for us. We definitely missed our kids, but my mom and my grandmother took our two daughters out of town for the weekend. They were visiting with some family and other grandkids in the family, so it was a big cousin slumber party for the weekend. They had so many fun stories to tell when they came back, and it just gave my husband and I a little bit of time to enjoy life together in our home, just the two of us, which really never happens. You know, sometimes we get to go out on a date, but usually the girls are home. Somebody's watching them, like as a sitter or something like that. So it's just extremely rare for us to have the house to ourselves, be able to get some things done around our property, be able to take things slow, sleep in a little bit. This was such a treat. And I feel like if I would have heard myself saying this like 5 to 10 years ago, I probably would have thought, that is absolutely ridiculous. Why would you want to spend a weekend that you have free at home just getting stuff done? But if you have little kids, and especially if you're a stay-at-home mom with little kids, I think you can probably relate. It just hits different. And I, for one, was so giddy that we had this opportunity and this time to spend with one another. And please do not hear me saying that children are not a blessing or that they're in any way an inconvenience or an extra burden. I absolutely love our life. I'm so grateful for where we are. And I know that one day I will look back longingly at how fast these little years went and wish I could have them back for just a bit. But every now and then, while here in the midst of this toddler fog, as I like to call it, a break is very helpful. Some extra hands are very helpful. So we took full advantage, and honestly, we just had a great time. So after the girls left early that morning, around like 9 o'clock, I spent some time just running errands, stopped in at a couple of thrift stores. I just took my time browsing and, you know, just enjoying a peaceful day, but also a productive day. And then about halfway through, I started kind of creating in my mind like a little date night that I wanted to surprise Nicholas with when he got home from work. So as I was going, I kind of began to rush around and then just trying to get home in order to have enough time to cook our food and get everything ready. I stopped by the local grocery store, picked up some steaks, which is not a common thing for us. We always stick to ground beef, pork chops, chicken, maybe some rope sausage or ham steaks. You know, things that are easy, things that are more affordable. But this felt like a treat. So even though we weren't going to go out and spend a bunch of money all weekend, I thought, you know what, we can make something nice right here at home with kind of what we have. Unfortunately, we don't have like a local butcher that I've found here. Where we used to live, we had a couple that were really good, and I would get steaks every now and then. We actually had a tradition of getting some for Christmas Eve, and then we would usually have enough left over to also eat on New Year's Eve. And we always enjoyed how that made the holiday feel extra special around our home. But in this situation, I ended up just getting them from our local grocer, and then we had so many veggies from our garden, which is super exciting. We've not had enough this year to actually like store up. We've frozen some, but really not like enough to last us through the winter or anything. So I kind of had this weird amount where I was like, I don't really have enough to like spend all the time blanching and then bagging and preserving. So we should probably just eat them before they go bad. And it was a really, really nice treat to be able to, make most of a meal based off of things that you grew with your own two hands in your own yard, that you labored over and you prayed over, and then get to see the harvest of. So now we're getting to enjoy it. And it was a really awesome addition to our meal. Last year at Christmas, we did a gift exchange at church, and it was actually a really cool version of White Elephant, but basically you had to bring something from your house. So it was like a re-gift type of White Elephant game, and it was super fun. And we won this never used blooming onion maker that somebody most likely had probably won from a different White Elephant game in years past, but I had not actually used it until this date night. And now I have learned that it's really not a blooming onion maker. It's more like a blooming onion cutter, which is useful too. However, it required some elbow grease that I was not fully prepared for. But I thought about the mix whenever I was at the grocery store. My grandmother has a deep fryer that we've been holding on to for a little bit. We did a fish fry for my husband's birthday last month, and we knew that we would be using it a lot for okra from the garden and stuff. So we've just kind of kept it here. And I thought, tonight's the night. Tonight is when we are making a blooming onion, and we are going to eat all of it. And then, of course, what is an at-home date night without a beautiful tablescape? And granted, this part was definitely more for me than for my husband, but I was excited to be able to be crafty and, like I said, use things that we already had. So this is a sheet that actually goes with the sheet set, which my daughter uses on her bed. We don't use flat sheets in our house. They just get in the way. They get tangled up. They end up like half on the floor, half at the foot of the bed, half choked around your ankle. I cannot handle it. So anytime we get a sheet set, I always save the flat sheet for, I guess in this case, tablecloths. But this is actually the first time I'd made a tablecloth out of one. Usually I'm saving them for quilt backings. But regardless, they always find a purpose in this house. And we have a couple of tablecloths that I could have used, but this ditzy floral pattern just grabs hold of my heart in ways that the stripes that we had and the solids that we had, they couldn't do it. I was thrilled when I found out how simple this is to make. I had avoided making a round tablecloth for so long because I felt like it was going to be difficult, but it really was simple and obviously very affordable. So there's a very good chance I'll be making many more of these in the days ahead. And then I went and grabbed some sunflowers out of our garden. Now let me tell you, I was really struggling with the idea of cutting these because they attract so many bees and pollinators to our garden. But they are really starting to fade quickly, and so I knew if I wanted to enjoy them on our table for any amount of time, I needed to get them and get them fast. And then these little mini rosebuds were on clearance at the grocery store. They were like $3 and some change, and I do not understand why. They didn't last super long, so maybe they knew that was going to be the case, but they still looked absolutely beautiful in contrast with the sunflowers. Honestly, even outside of date nights, I always have such an interest and a love, maybe even a little bit of a passion for setting the table and just making it beautiful, just making it special, really, because I feel like, there are tons of things that you could go and listen to from people who know far more than I do about the value of family gathered around the table for a meal. There's scriptural references about breaking bread and eating meals together, fellowshipping, but I just think there are a lot of important things to be taken from sharing a meal together. So in light of that, I want the table to be a welcoming and inviting place. I want it to be something that draws people in and makes them want to sit down. And even if they don't realize it at the time, I think that putting that extra effort into making it special, it adds a little touch of something that maybe when they look back, they'll think, wow, they really put some time into this. They really put some intention into this. I hope that's something that my family can always look back and say, like, Mom might have been absolutely frazzled while she was cooking and while we were underfoot, and my husband, when he looks back, can be like, yeah, I would come in the door from work and it was kind of a crazy house. That's exactly what it is. I'm not going to lie to you, but I want them to say, she was trying and she wanted it to be something that everybody could enjoy, that everybody could do together, and that everybody could be nourished from. And especially as my girls get older, I would like to incorporate that more often. Maybe not dressing up the table every night of the week, but at least like Sunday night dinner or something like that, where they can help and they can kind of see the value in those things and create these habits as well. Because in all reality, I realize that as they get older, The activities outside of our home will increase more and more. This time and these crazy dinners will quickly fade into a phase of life where most nights look exactly like this one. So I want to both savor the ones along the way while also looking forward to more of this. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with me. I hope you're doing well, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.